You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. White folks love these white supremacy media outlets love hating on black folks, especially when they call out white supremacy. The ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, well, she gave remarks at the 30th Annual National Action Network Convention, where she addressed white supremacy being at the foundation of America. Watch this.
In a diverse country like ours, that means committing to do the work. It means learning and understanding more about each other. It means engaging trailblazing groups like yours to teach, to grow, to include, to improve. It means not forgetting our past or ignoring our present, but keeping both firmly in mind as we push for a better future. I tried to do this recently in the UN General Assembly when I spoke on the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. That day and commemoration was personal for me. So I told the UN some personal stories. I told them how my great-grandmother, Mary Thomas, born in 1865, was the child of a slave just 3 generations back from me. I grew up in the segregated South. I was bused to a segregated school. On weekends, the Klan burned crosses on lawns in our neighborhood. I shared these stories and others to acknowledge on the international stage that I have personally experienced one of America's greatest imperfections. I've seen for myself how the original sin of slavery weaved white supremacy into our founding documents and principles. But I also shared these stories to offer up an insight, a simple truth I've learned over the years. Racism is not the problem of the person who experiences it. Those of us who experience racism cannot and should not internalize it, despite the impact it can have on our everyday lives. Racism is the problem of the racist, and it is the problem of the society that produces the racist. And in today's world,
Well, at today's White House press briefing, Newsmax reporter Emerald Robinson actually asked Press Secretary Jen Psaki if Biden was going to fire his UN ambassador for those comments.
Go ahead in the back.
Thanks, Jen. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, talking to a group on Wednesday, essentially said that white supremacy is woven into our founding documents and principles. Now, this statement is getting widely criticized as essentially parroting Chinese Communist Party talking points. So, is the president going to remove her from her position as the representative before that body to promote United States values?
Is the president going to remove an African-American woman with decades of experience in the Foreign Service, who's widely respected around the world, from her position as ambassador to the UN? He is not. He is proud to have her in that position. She is not only qualified, he believes she is exactly the right person in that role at this moment in time. I have not seen her comments. I will say that there's no question that there has been a history of institutional racism in this country, and that doesn't require the UN ambassador to confirm that.
So that's essentially the same lecture, though, that the Chinese delegation gave Secretary Blinken in Alaska last month. So does the president think our founding documents are racist?
I would say that I will leave my comments to speak for themselves, and certainly I think most people recognize the history of systemic racism in our country, and she was speaking to that.
Go ahead,
Newsmax. Man, you better take y'all ass on if y'all actually think he gonna fire the UN ambassador, a black woman who's talking about racism in America like she ain't experienced it. Xavier, then you better sit their ass down.
Newsmax isn't even news.
What Newsmax is popular is propaganda max. That's what they are. And great answers that she's been giving from what their quote unquote reporters have been seeking to do. They're not asking questions. They're seeking to establish content for their network and for their followers to be able to push propaganda. This isn't news. This isn't journalism. All this is doing is stoking up white grievance. This is profoundly racist to be able to suggest that a black woman wouldn't know what's going on with racism in the country, and to be able to attach that to another aspect of talking about Chinese delegation and talking points, connecting this anti-China, anti-Asian, Pacific Islander stoking that they're doing. It is absolutely ridiculous. It shouldn't be recognized at all.
I'm just sort of laughing, Teresa. Oh, is he going to get rid of her? Hell no.
You know what? Jen has been astonishing handling the media and more importantly, handling Emerald Robinson, especially in this scenario. It's funny because when it actually aired, I was like, well, let's see if they actually use that clip on Newsmax of what Jen said. And you should have saw the way it was pieced together, because, I mean, this is the first time, Roland, that I'm seeing it in full length of Jen's comments, because everything was just kind of pieced. So I thought that was interesting. But again, I agree with Brother Pope. It's literally building content for their propaganda to raise up their base, to keep that 74 million people that voted for Trump energized. And unfortunately, it's almost like halfway ignorance to not think, that Ms. Greenfield did not experience exactly what everybody has been saying: racism in this country, slavery, back when, and the nuance of slavery and the new Jim Crow. So, part of that ignorance is not willing to understand and not willing to have that base of wanting to educate yourself. There's so many scholarly articles. But like I said before, congrats to our press secretary for doing the work of the people.
Look, first of all, she spoke a whole lot of words, Michael. This really should have been her response. Hell no. Next.
Boy, Roland, I posted about this. I read about this article. I posted about it a few hours ago, man, from rawstory.com. First of all, the response that I wanted Jen Psaki to give was the same one Maxine Waters gave punk-ass Jim Jordan yesterday. Shut your mouth. Okay? That's the response I wanted Jen Psaki to give to Emerald Robinson. But Greenfield said something very, very important. And this ties into your interview with Dr. Ray Wimbush yesterday about H.R. 40 coming out of House Judiciary Committee. Dr. Ray Wimbush, who's a friend of mine, he said that he could not believe how ignorant many of the Republicans were on the committee about history. That's what this ties into. Greenfield talked about founding documents. These fools haven't read the founding documents. Half of them can't read. They haven't read the Constitution. The Constitution sanctions slavery. The Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution deals with the Three-Fifths Compromise of 1787. Article 4, Section 2 of the Constitution lays the foundation for the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 and 1850. The Constitution sanctions slavery. So she's absolutely correct. The problem is you ain't just dealing with white supremacists. You're dealing with ignorant people that don't understand their own history. This is why they had to have this revision, this 1776 commission that Donald Trump put together to attack the 1619 project. And thankfully, Joe Biden decommissioned. He disbanded that commission. OK, so this is another one of these culture wars, but it comes from a total misunderstanding of history. This is why America has to have a massive history lesson. OK, when we're talking about reparations, OK, that has a historical and legal foundation. America has to have a massive history lesson because so many of us, regardless of race, are ignorant of history.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends, go Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.